to see that this is a world class, or one of the best classes we've had in over 20 years of this program. And it is so wonderful to see the family support that all of these farmers give, because the wives and the children work on the farm a lot of times. And the stresses that these gentlemen feel, their families feel as well. It's a difficult job to have when you've got so many variables that you cannot control, but yet you're going to keep working until you get some level of control on them so that you can produce a crop, support your families, and feed people. So, I'd like to open it up for some questions. There's a lot to be learned from these gentlemen to the left and right of me. So, let's hear a question or two, please. Come on, y'all. Had coffee now. It's time. All right, Donald Chase, thank you.
So I would like for each of y'all to respond, if you would please, to tell us what in your area is the greatest challenge that you face, not just to growing peanuts, but farming in general.
Did everybody hear the question in the back? Okay. It was about what are the greatest challenges that they face in their daily lives and in farming. Is that correct?
Exactly. Thank you.
All right, we'll go far left, Jason.
Good question. Tough question, a lot to think about right there. Yeah. For me, growing up on the farm in the 80s and 90s, Daddy letting me have a little bit of crop or whatever I wanted to try, he let me try. And knowing what my costs were, back then, and working, in ag input business for, a pretty good while too, and just seeing how much all that has changed. That's what's always stuck in my mind when I hear a question like that. Just, the first tractor I bought, and I know everybody knows this, but I don't remember how much it was, but I didn't think a whole lot about writing a check for it, but I had to get one a little while back, and that's just been stuck in my head ever since. It just, cost of production is just so immense now, and I can't get my head wrapped around that. And I don't think I ever will, but we just gotta try, like here, we gotta try new things, we gotta do the best we can do. You better keep your pencil sharp as you can keep it.
I think for us moving forward, it'll be our aquifer. The Ogallala aquifer, we are really seeing the depletion. So it's going to be interesting how we adapt. So I think that's going to be one of our biggest challenges. People get tired of me talking about it, but that is just something we're facing in our area. So
Along those lines, as the aquifer depletes a little bit more, you're seeing more saltwater intrusion.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't understand that. So if you could
it seems like the lower the aquifer gets, we're dealing with more salt, which is, to really make like a Valencia peanuts, it can really make the vines crass, but like later, like in September, not letting them mature. And everybody is seeing that. We just can't deny it.
Before I start, I'll say if I am efficient in any way, it's because of my son right here. That's why I brought him up to answer the question for me. Because all I do is write the checks now. One of the biggest issues I think we have for farming is making things profitable. It's tough now to be profitable. Everything has to work. You have to have brain, you have to have, not brain, you have to have perfect I worry every day about the next generation, because we've been doing this for 5 or 6 generations, and I just don't want to screw it up. Because somebody's coming behind me and wants to farm. And also, a big challenge for us is we try to be good stewards, but being good neighbors. We have a lot of non-ag neighbors around us, and it's always, we're blocking the roads, we're working too late. What are you spraying? Did you put too much fertilizer in there? And I think being good stewards and good neighbors has been a challenge, and we're working every day to be better.
Can I hear your son respond too?
His challenge will be me, I think.
Now, just to touch on what he said, we live close, to a lot of development, Virginia Beach, Suffolk. Getting equipment up and down the road is probably the most stressful part of my day if I'm in a piece of equipment. So just going through that, we got a lot of solar farms coming up, a lot of just businesses growing, warehouses and stuff like that, and they pay a lot more per acre than a farmer can. So just dealing with that, dealing with growth and the other day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, they sort of touched on, if you look at the big picture, our costs are so out of control, it feels like anyway to me, you can't be average anymore. And so the pressure is you got to hit a home run on the marketing side. It's putting more pressure on us as marketers. It's putting more pressure on us on our yields. We just can't be average and make a living. It's almost if you're average, you're broke. And then on the agronomic side, our biggest, people sort of laugh at it when I say, but animal is our biggest problem right now where we are. We're sort of in a part of Mississippi that's driven by recreational dollars, the deer hunting and hunt leases and for whatever, the land being bought up for that. And the animal pressure that we're seeing, and it tied back into the cost thing. You can't give up 10% of your yield anymore. And a lot of what we farm, we know going in that we're going to probably give up 10% yield. So that's been a tough adjustment to make, trying to figure out how to live on less.
Always challenges with different challenges. Another question? Come on, guys, gotta be some.
I'd like to know what they do about the disease program on their peanut crop. How regular they need to spray, or probably Texas is different than we are over this way.
Well, we mentioned Texas. We'll start with Texas in a much more arid environment than the other producing states.
Disease for us is not a big issue. So every now and then on Virginia's you run around, get like a real wet year, but these last 2 years we haven't run in. So it's not been a big issue. Not for us.
Water being one of your main issues instead of
The lack thereof.
Sure.
All right, I'm going to defer over to the spray.
Starting about 2 or 3 weeks ago, every 2 to 3 weeks, we're going over with fungicide application. And we'll do that basically until we start digging. And a lot of times we spray the later half planted peanuts that we won't get to at first to dig. We'll spray them with fungicide as well.
But when we first started growing peanut back a long time ago, we were very fortunate to bring in the best consultant in the state of Mississippi with us. And he told me, just don't ask questions, just do what I was told. So no, we stayed on a normal rotation for the most of our, since we've been growing peanuts. Why grow a crop and not take care of it? There's a lot of people in Mississippi that fell into the trap of, you don't have to have fungicide, but if I'm going to grow cotton, I'm not going to let things happen to it. If I'm going to grow soybeans, I don't let things happen to it. So we were always steady in our fungicide program, staying on the schedule that was developed over here. But as the years have gone by, we've seen we can tweak it a little bit, so now we're pretty well a four-shot system. Start off with the latest, and then somewhere in the middle of the latest beerless, and then the latest, and finish out with a Bravo or something. But we're basically a four-shot system, and with our rotation, we've just never really seen any disease pressure. I mean, every now and then, we pick up a farm that has a history of soybeans on it, and so white mold might be an issue, but other than that, we've never had a lot of disease pressure, but we farm to keep it from happening.
We started planting time with good treatment on the seed, another fungicide and further planting time, and pretty tight 2-week schedule. And then on good stout 2-block black mold program, and we mix it up. We don't put the same thing more than twice, and we don't put when we do our rotation, we change products. We never put anything back to back. If weather gets going where we think the pressure's ramping up, we will tighten up a little more than 2 weeks sometimes. But we pretty much keep the hammer down all the way till digging time.
Well, I want to follow that one up real quick. The knowledge of what you need to put out, when you need to put out. How do y'all get your information on that? Is it through consultants, extension, combination of both? And what can be done better to get the information to y'all in a timely fashion? Or are you satisfied with what you're doing right now?
We do use a private consultant, and we kind of like, we just, whatever he says goes, because he's in the field every day, or at least 2 or 3 times a week. And we do a lot of scouting ourselves to help out, but that and we work through a chemical company in Virginia, Mahern, and we have a good sales that helps us out. A lot of neighbors, what are y'all spraying today? Yeah, what's going on in your field, stuff like that. There probably is a better way. Just don't know, I'm learning along this board right now about some things.
Lonnie, I know you work with Trey.
Yeah, we're very blessed. Trey is very, very good, and he's very knowledgeable. If somebody's gonna know something, Trey's gonna know it. And I have so much other stuff that I have to deal with. I'm just trying to keep everything going. I'm thankful that part of it. Trey treated my crops like they're his crops. I mean, like I said, we're very fortunate to have him. And I give a lot of our credit to him as far as our yields. And so, as far as getting information back down, really, in Mississippi, most everything you do is run through consultants. If I think back now, trying to think of other people at home in other places, you run through the consultant to the grower most of the time. So there needs to be a way to get information that just get it to the consultants, because they're going to get it to us.
I do a lot of scouting myself too. On the organics, I've never had a consultant. There's so limited what you can do anyway. I like scouting, do a rotation every 3 to 4 years. Virginia's, I've got dealt with the same guys that I met in 2007, the nutrient. It's nutrient ag, so really good consultant, no pressure. We go scout not organic field, we see a problem with it. Our program.
I scout, the high scout consultant, and gotta have a shadow in your crop. Gotta have somebody that knows what they're doing, putting their shadow in your crop. That's one of my mainstays, with farming. So yeah, we look. I try to look at everything once a week. Scouts coming around once a week. Gotta know what's going react, accordingly, get what you need, get in the tank. And sometimes that, it helps you not have to do anything also, so, just gotta have that info coming from the field constantly.
And I say, this conference is sponsored by a lot of our chemical companies that bring forward a lot of highly effective products. And when new problems come on board, they are there to help farmers with the crop protection that we need, so we need to keep that continuing. Another question?
One in the back.
Okay, all right, we got two, I'll start with that.
I have a question. You guys referenced some of the cost of production. If you can give me maybe a list of some of the tools that you use, or how are you guys managing expenses, that you can, and tracking that to, maintain profitability and move forward?
We are given that question?
I couldn't follow it either.
I'm gonna say tools that you might use for track expenses, or if you use a farm analysis. Tools that you might use to track expenses if you're in a farm analysis association, or things that help you to maintain profitability as prices have increased, cost of production. We're subject to the revenues that we are.
I don't have any special tools per se, but I do start with a budget, and you have to deviate from that some, but the only way I can make it work is to go for a good yield, and it takes some extra inputs to do that. But in farming, that way for yield, I really have to rely on that budget and marketing as well, to be able to plan to come out in the end, but at least have some level of success as far as the bottom line goes.
Well, we don't have any special tools either. What I like, one thing that helps me is making maps of the farms and then actually writing it down, putting it on paper, what we've got everywhere, what we're putting in, just pencil and paper. For me, that really helps. So, and again, there's always something that happens, and there goes another $50,000, and you're always kind of maneuvering. But to actually see it on paper, it just kind of helps calm me down for what we got.
Everything is put on paper with me now. The next one will not, and everything on here. But with 1,000 to 1,100 acres of peanuts, I know every time we spray, I'm looking at the cost, and I talk to my chemical people, and every time it's $1, that's $1,000 I'm going to save, or $10. Sometimes I'll go with a little bit of a cheaper route sometimes when it comes to a fungicide or insecticide. Was just trying to save every dollar we can, but still be effective.
A budget, we start off every year with a budget, but a budget is like I say, a plan of war. When the bullets start flying, it goes out the window. So in southwest Mississippi, you're going to have a backwater, you're going to have Erie up 150 acres of cotton, you're going to have, so the budget gets thrown right out the window. So I try to keep a running tab of where we are, I keep it in my mind all the time. But we've just tried to take the things that we've been forced to buy, like technology and all this equipment, and start trying to really focus on how we can cut back trips, more variable rate applications, and sort of thinking farm-wide. We're just trying to take the technology that we've sort of been, that we've had to buy, and get full efficiency out of it to a certain degree. Now, like moving forward, I don't know, but we're constantly trying to relearn and find a better way to do things.
I think farming, as you said, is a continual learning process.
Yeah, our budget can get blown right out of the water right off the bat, you know.
What is one thing that you guys are doing to manage risk? Is it something, it could be something inside the farming operation, or it could be something outside the farming operation? One tool that you're using to manage risk.
All right, Adam's question for everybody in the back was, what are these winners today using to manage risk on the farm? Take a stab.
I buy insurance for every acre, and I probably do mine a little different than a lot of people do, but if there's, some kind of supplemental I try to buy, I don't want to get into an insurance talk, but supplemental, policies. There's a lot there. There has been for me anyway, and more so than just, regular multi-pair. The supplemental stuff, that's been a good risk management thing for me. So I really try to assess all the, different programs. There's been some new, products coming on and all that. So that's the first thing that comes to my mind when we talk about risk management. Is really trying to drilling into, the crop insurance programs and seeing how I can control the, of course, my cost of insurance, but what the benefit could be, which I really don't want to. I don't want to have a claim. I want to have a great crop. So I guess if I backed up and thought about that again, there's my risk management. I want to farm as smart as I can and have a great crop. When I make a crop, a lot of other things just kind of get blurred out and they're not an issue. So that's the first thing I think, focus on is just trying to do everything I can do to make a great crop. But then really talking, directly about risk management or whatever, those, just having a good insurance agent and really getting him to help me understand, what the different tools are that I have right there also.
Oh, man, I talk about it. I'm from West Texas. We're always in a drought. So, yeah, insurance is a huge thing for us, obviously. The swings in weather. We tried something new. We do a bunch of Milo with the rainfall, the annual fours. It's a good policy for us out there. So if you get rain, the idea is we'll make a crop. If you don't, it's just strictly off of rainfall is how that policy works. So having a good agent, I think is huge for the business we're in. And then the add-ons like the SEOs, stacks, ECOs on peanuts, all of those things can be a really big help because even if you make a crop, the county triggers a loss, it'll still give you a payment. That's just part of the game. That's how the business we're in at that right. So,
Put aside one question before we go to the break. Your vineyards, can you insure those in Texas?
you can,
You can.
but you got to prove up a yield. So you got to make 3 years and you just report each yield for each year, and then you start.
So you have risk management for that.
Yeah, and then they also have a good hail insurance policy. Because obviously hail is going to be part of the business right out there. So,
Thank you.
Lonnie?
Well, as far as, products that we can do to mitigate risk, our standard crop insurance, a lot of my stuff is rated land though, so crop insurance really isn't upgraded, but it's so expensive that it's because of the river. We're right on the Mississippi River, so a lot of our stuff is considered flood risk. Whether it really floods or not, it sort of gets pushed into that actual aerial map. And so we get insurance and layer different aftermarket policies like everybody else does on top of it. But as far as managing risk, to me on the economic side, it's maintaining the rotations, keeping our soil health there, being able to get through these tough times when we have to go a long time without rain, we're very blessed to farm on deep soils, silt loam. Our yield can be very stable. Harvest time is usually our biggest risk is at harvest if we get into a wet fall. And, but just doing what I can with the products that are out there, but mainly making sure my production system is solid and we're taking care of things to where the plant can be healthy enough to get through some of the tough times that may pop up.
I'd say the same thing on crop insurance. Rotated definitely helps. One thing about our crop insurance, we farm in 3 counties, and we actually have 5 entities that we farm under. We can spread out our policies. So we work. By the way, my crop insurance man works for me too, so that helps. Part-time. Being efficient as we are, we don't pay him. He just likes to be on the farm. So a good crop insurance management, a good policy is one that you can afford and cover all your downside if you can.
Marshall, I have a question about you.
Yeah, varieties. I'm just interested in what kind of varieties we all plant.
We've been OCG, it's been hard to find something that really beat them. They seem to have, in our world, on a little tighter soil, it's about texture and getting the crop made early and getting it out. Our weather pattern on the west side of Mississippi is, we'll start getting more affected that second week of October, with those fronts coming across every 3 or 4 days. So we want to get the crop in and get it out, be done by that time. And on the years where we do get dry, and digging is a big deal, we need the pig strength for as much as we possibly can have. And so, of course, we also do the Mississippi State variety trials are done on one of our places every year. And so we have taken the data for the last 3 years, and we sort of starting to look at some new variety that's performed well on our soils. But that's my biggest thing. You want to always test on any, whether it's seed, especially seed, you do a variety trial of some sort every year on our soil type to see what works for us. But the Georgia, the 06s has just been hard to beat. So we're primarily 06s right now.
We plant 2 varieties, Bailey 2s and Emerys. The Bailey 2s we try to put on some like our more lighter land, and the Emery we put on our heavier land. They seem to be doing good for us. We've done it for 4 years since the Bailey 2 went out.
We do 442 Virginia's Emerys as well on the non-organic and organic. We're doing a span 17 and a span 24 Spanish. So those are working well for us already.
We're doing right now, TFNDHG. That takes most of our irrigated ground, and we got a little niche in my part of the world for Georgia 09B. I really like that one, does very well, so it's got, and it is highly variety, so there's some more, maybe some more potential money there sometime, but it's a good variety, very predictable about getting ready. So we like those 2. Still like those 6, but we're not big acre operations. So we don't have any of those 6s right now. But I still like to grow some. It's just kind of the way our rotation and what we're needing to plant is NVHGs and maybe not needed.
And this is an amazing story. I think the growers would agree with this. But 20 years ago, even 15 years ago, that question really wouldn't have been asked. But a lot of the genomic work that is going going on today, giving us these highly improved varieties, and the fact that we're getting to speed breeding, where we're cutting down the number of years in which it gets out of the test plots and into your farms. So I think that is really helping growers. I know it's really helping growers to be able to choose varieties to fit what you're doing and how you're doing it. And it's amazing, and I think that is only going to get better in time. And those are your checkoff dollars at work. Y'all's money on the checkoff has helped fund a lot of this, along with the entire industry. I don't mean to exclude anybody, but it truly is, I think, our future as we go through the next 10, 20 years, are new varieties that are going to continue to maintain yield and quality and be good in the shelling plant and the candy bar and the peanut butter bar. All right, another question? Yes. Okay.
My question for Mr. Lonnie and Mr. Henry. As starting out as a first generation farmer, we're kind of in the minority.
Hold on one second. Right, catch your microphone.
I said, starting out as first generation farmers, we're kind of minority in this room. I just wondered if you had any advice for those of us that are just starting out, young operations, or maybe those that are looking to get into farming as first generation. Thank you.
I can start with that. It's going to be tough for you compared to when we started out 22 years ago, but I really think, probably talking to farmers, older farmers, I really think with the turnover that we're fixing to see, older guys retiring, I really think there's going to be opportunities for you young guys to get in. We get a relationship going. Here in the next 5 years, it's unreal how much land's going to turn over and guys are going to retire. So it's not hopeless. I really think there's an opportunity. And they go talk to people, that's what I did when I started out. I really stayed at the gyms, just to go talk to some of the old timers, and that really helped. So.
Jason, how do you hit?
Yeah, I agree with what Henry was saying. We got a lot of turnover and change coming. So talk to the folks, in your neighborhood. Just work on relationships and just be honest. This kind of community, everybody's always good. You help one another, so just keep that in your mind, and do anything you can think to do.
I would say the same thing. We had two brothers in our neighborhood 5 years ago, 80 and 83. Didn't have any children coming along, and I'd known them all my life, and didn't think I would have a chance to work in the land. And just went to them one day and talked to them. And next thing you know, 12 or 13 100 acres, picked up right there because they didn't have another generation coming. They didn't want to sell it. They didn't want to put solar on it. They didn't want to put, they didn't agree with anything other than keeping farmland. And it's been a good fit for us. And there's a lot more out there, people like that, and really do think it is.
Yeah, I can see that in Mississippi too. Of course, my family was big time, the 80s was a big deal in Mississippi, and we didn't survive it. And so when you get out of the loop, the problem I always had every time I thought about it was the land. You're only as good as your land. And so you got to get back in. I basically started managing for a partnership, and we built our way over the years into the partnership. That was the door that the good Lord opened for us. And I think with the age of the growers now, especially in Mississippi too, and the lack of help, we can't get farmland anymore. Somebody really is wanting to get into agriculture. You could go to work for anybody you wanted to if you got to drive the farm, and they would take you on in a heartbeat, and they would probably help cultivate that movement forward, because in Mississippi for sure it's critical right now. People want younger people anyway, want to farm. I think that would be a great opportunity.
Those are encouraging answers for our future. I think it really is important to
We have a question.
My question is about technology, and I know pretty much everybody in this room uses GPS. And my question for y'all, early adopters of technology, still early adopters, or do you try to sit back and wait and see how it works out before you spend that money? And the reason I asked this question, we started with GPS 15, 16 years ago, and it was a lot of money, and now the technology is outdated. We continue to update. It seems like we never quit paying for technology, but I don't feel like we can afford to farm without it. So again, just are you early adopters, or do you sit back and wait and see how the technology will pay for itself?
I always push back on it, though. Just like I'm going to these data centers, so that's what I've always done.
What do you mean by pushback?
I don't know, in school maintenance, I learned how to make roads with markers, so I just always I want to put them on it.
I'm kind of like Henry. I won't say I won't jump on something early, but I'm kind of like to lean a little more towards what we know works and has always worked, because I've had a lot of great mentors over the years, and you know, that you can't buy that experience. And that's just where I've always leaned a little bit. I'm not against technology whatsoever, but it's being a smaller, acre operation. It's I generally, that's another thing right there. Upfront cost to bring new technologies usually pretty big, so I usually get things a little time. We use a lot of things, but the brand new stuff we kind of watch and see how things kind of progress with it. And we're a little, I won't say slow to adopt stuff, but I like to see kind of how things get going and or working for other people before we jump on it. But yeah, we got to have it. There's so many great tools out there nowadays that we need to be looking at and need to be figuring out, how they can work for us and help us do better.
You will get two different answers up here. Our technology bill, like I do, I keep up with the budget. It exceeds my payroll for myself every year. Now, I haven't had a raise in 38 years. But I do see where it has worked for us with the younger generation. And he can explain more about, I guess, about how we use it. I do look back and look up all of our equipment on my phone and see if it's sitting idle, how much fuel's in it, how many hours on it, stuff like that. But if it's sitting idle, it always gets a phone call from me. Why are we sitting idle? And usually it's because of the phone call. That's why they're sitting idle. How do we use it up the moment?
We stay up decently to date with the technology, but just like he said, there's going to be something shiny every year, and really technology can break you to a certain point if you try to be up to date on everything. We use a lot. We have exact apply sprayers. That can be a headache at times, but I think that does save us in the long run. It helps the crops too. As far as planting, that's been a big thing, but as far as row shells, getting rates right and stuff like that. He really, with peanuts specifically, we started using the plantable row shells, I think 3 years ago. And he plants all the peanuts, and he can tell you it's amazing how much seed we save just planting where it cuts off and sets. And that carries all the way to digging. We save a lot of peanuts on the ends when we're not digging all the way into the end row. We're tearing a lot of peanuts off. So that really has helped us. But the subscriptions every year, I mean, it's getting to be where it's ridiculous to keep up with the technology prices of everything. He mentioned. But you gotta have technology to get better in the future, I believe. But kind of like these guys said, I like to see what the neighbors do with it first, and let us go from there after that.
Yeah, he sort of touched on it a little bit. One of my thoughts, that, we did it years ago, and then some of the stuff that started coming off, and we thought the technology, you own the guidance system, you move it from tractor to tractor. Of course, our friends at John Deere changed a little of that now, so now we pay subscriptions on everything every year, an annual subscription, and a pay-as-you-play kind of system that they're very proud of. But I think we'll still be early adopters. It's all about doing more with less for our operation. We just don't have the help. And diversified as we are with the four-crop rotation, it puts more pressure on us on equipment. We have to keep a lot more equipment. So we're trying to cut back to as few passes as we can make. We do as much variable rate technology with the satellite images or drone type pictures to do our some of our stuff, variable rate applications. But to answer your question, Don, again, I think we'll always sort of be on the front end. Because we're going to pay for a lot of this stuff whether we want it or not. I mean, when you buy a tractor, all the components are on the tractor. It's not like you can buy it without it. So the planter technology has been great for us. I think we'll always be early adopters, but you just got to find out how it fits on your operation. Because if not, we're just paying for a big fancy toy. We're not getting any.
Thank you for being here this morning. And to the gentlemen to my right and to my left and their families, thank y'all as well, because what you do in this program is a very unselfish act. You share your knowledge, talk about your concerns, and talk about what's positive in agriculture. And that is so important for everyone in this room, but also, as we talked about earlier, it also includes young farmers that are looking to become a farmer. And to hear what people that are established and successful are doing, that's the story that we want to tell in this industry. Thank you, and God bless you.